from the Hannibal TV.com. And yesterday, during my interview with Mario Mancini, former WWE competitor, who is partners in a wrestling school with Paul Roma, was asked by multiple fans to talk about this match where it was a pay-per-view match, Superbrawl 5 WCW. Alex Wright was getting a big push. He was only 18 or 19 at the time, but was from a wrestling family from Germany. He fought Paul Roma, who had been in WWE as starting as enhancement, then basically a lower tier tag team with the Young Stallions with Jim Powers, then back to kind of enhancement, but would win every once in a while, then Power and Glory, then to WCW, where they put him with the Horsemen, which didn't work out. Then they put him with Pretty Wonderful, which was a team with Paul Orndorff, which I think was his best run. But this match happened during this WCW run, during this Paul Roma or this Pretty Wonderful time. And I'll be honest with you, I was highly disappointed when I sat through this match and researched it and got a few people's opinions on it. I think saying that Paul Roma took advantage of him is an understatement for this match, or is an overstatement rather, because it's a 13-minute match that overall is very boring. The highlight is basically Miss Paul Roma's elbow drop. It is evident in this match that Paul Roma's not selling arm bars and stuff, but it doesn't look like he's overly stiffing Alex Wright. I've seen him been in a lot stiffer matches, and like, for instance, when he takes him on the outside and does one of these Bruiser Brody chest whacks when he's on the inside of the ring and Alex is on the right side, outside of the ring, it looks like he barely touches him, and he does take bumps. He even takes a hip toss here that Alex didn't even hook him properly on. And I noticed someone else reviewed this match from Ireland, and you see here that he acts like Paul didn't do a press slam right, but to me, when I saw this, it looked like Alex didn't go upright for the press slam. But I guess the issue with the match was why Paul Roma didn't sell that much when he was in arm bars and stuff, and I guess had a bad attitude about the match, was because he was told he was going to win on every pay-per-view. He wouldn't have to do a job on the pay-per-views. And I guess he only lasted about 4 weeks after this match. I've never met Paul Roma. Mario Mancini loves him. If you hear the stories from WCW, for whatever reason, Ric Flair and the powers that be, right or wrong, I really don't know, they didn't seem to like him. And if he's going to start complaining about doing jobs when he's not a top guy, it's probably not going to, whether it's in his contract or not, it's probably not going to motivate anyone to book him for a topper position, for more top position, because they're going to be like, well, if he's a lower to mid card guy complaining about doing jobs, we're not going to put him at the top and have this problem. So that probably had a lot to do with the release. Eric Bischoff critiqued this match. It's on the internet. You can search it up. He agreed that this match, 13 minutes, was way too long. He said that Paul didn't sell and Alex shouldn't have danced during his comeback because he sold too much. He described it like he sold like a puppy during the match. But again, he's 18 or 19. But when Eric talked about it and remembered it, and he's doing a podcast here where he's supposed to remember significant things, he didn't remember that as being the breaking point for Paul Roma or anything particularly stiff about it. I'm sure it definitely contributed that he complained to Ric Flair about having to do the job, because Paul admitted that in an RF video shoot interview that there's clips of online. But a fan commented, I read one of the fan comments, that if Paul had just played along in WCW, this happened, I guess, in 1995. WCW existed in 2001. They kept a lot of mid-card guys under contract for a long time. So even if he wasn't pushed, he probably could have kept his job longer. But if he's unhappy, maybe he made the right choice to go elsewhere. But one thing that stood out to me, the other thing, other than Paul Roma's elbow, which looked good, what I stood out to, I'll give Paul Roma credit. He looked like $1 million in this match. And probably because of whatever the behind-the-scenes reputation was, he never got another opportunity on a major stage. But at least he got some opportunity. A lot of us never get any. The other thing that stood out to me is how young Alex Wright was, because when I was watching this, I would have been a kid. So I never thought Alex Wright looked that young, because I would have been like 10 or 11 probably during the time of this match, and when Alex Wright was young. So he still looked older to me. But going back and watching this match, which was the first Alex Wright match I'd watched in a long time, maybe be like, holy crap, he was really young in there. BPJ liked the Berlin character. He got a good push. He always got a decent push, it seemed, in WCW. Didn't he have a Dancing Fools thing with Disco Inferno, then Berlin? But by the Berlin time, people had pretty much stopped watching WCW. They were getting like the 2s and 2.5s ratings, which back then was death. Anyways, if you haven't seen the match, it's a boring match and not too much happens in it. I don't think it's that bad of a match. And by the way, apparently Paul Roma wrestled Alex Wright 3 or 4 more times on house shows and stuff before he was done with the company. So obviously they didn't think he was dangerous, or they wouldn't have put him back in there with Alex Wright. So I don't think there was anything dangerous in that match. What I saw was Paul Roma didn't sell as much as he could have, and maybe had bad attitude about the match due to being promised something that didn't happen. So that's just my opinion on it. I was greatly disappointed. I was expecting some type of really rough match, but to me, it was just a match where there's like a 2.5-minute headlock at one point. Pretty boring match, and too long to start a pay-per-view. But that's just my thoughts. Whether you liked it or not, it's up to you. But Eric Bischoff said he didn't even like it, looking back on it. Have a good afternoon. I'm heading off to the gym.
Thank you for watching the Hannibal TV. Please like this video if you enjoyed it, and click the subscribe button to not